Imagine as you walk on the beach with your significant family member or friend. You leave footprints in the sand, right? The beach. But your footprints aren't normal. Instead of disappearing into the sea as the ocean waves wash up, your footprints become deeper, darker, wider, and as the days pass. In a year's time, it becomes a deep, dark hole where nothing can live in. Today can you imagine yourself doing such a horrific deed and yet to be unable to correct your mistake? Today I want to emphasize the importance of being aware of the dangers of air pollution, how it's caused, and what actions we should take to prevent it. What I just used as an analogy would be known as a carbon footprint. The carbon footprint is the total amount of greenhouse gases produced to indirectly and directly support human activities. Carbon footprints are a main asset to the air pollution, which occurs when things that aren't normally there are added into the air, such as sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxides, and other chemical vapors. Hugh Seeley, a professor and director of Environmental Occupational Health Track at the Department of Public Health and Preventive Medicine in St. George University, has stated that compared to a decade ago, humans are now suffering more from respiratory and heart problems. He has also researched something known as eutrophication, which is high amounts of nitrogen which can affect animals, plants, and fishes. When a pollutant is highly toxic, it can cause widespread and severe damage, as well as health problems. One of the most direct results of air pollution is global warming. It is caused by the increase of imbalance of gases in the atmosphere. This then causes the melting of the polar ice caps and glaciers up in the north and south, which then causes sea levels to rise, as well as the disappearance of land masses. Global warming also causes extreme climate weather, such as we have already witnessed the El Nino. Ocean temperatures become warmer, which causes treacherous storms, which causes more death. Global warming is also causing the earth to heat up, which causes severe droughts, shortage of water, and increase of wildfires, as the recent news has stated with the Canada 3 wildfires. It also increases allergies, asthma, and infectious disease, where diseases always thrive in heat. It also causes disruption of habitats, such as the coral reef destruction, which then drives animals to extinction. Another big problem would be the depletion of the ozone layer. The ozone layer is thinning. Because of that, the sun's UV rays become more harmful, causing skin and eye-related problems. One of the main prospects chemicals that is up in the atmosphere is known as the chlorofluorocarbon chemical, also known as the CFCs. These chemicals are mainly used in arsenals by industrialized countries such as US and China. It has the ability to rip apart ozone molecules when exposed to ultraviolet rays. According to the US Environmental Protection Agency, 1 atom of chlorine can destroy more than 100,000 ozone molecules. What are the causes of these problems? Well, one of the main ones would be greenhouse gases, which is any gaseous compound in the atmosphere that is capable of absorbing radiation, thereby trapping and holding heat in the atmosphere, such as gases such as carbon dioxide, methane, nitrogen, and many others. As I said already, the carbon footprint is a big cause in pollution. According to timeforchange.org, almost all used power technology can create an immense amount of air pollution, such as gasoline, diesel, oil, and other fossil fuels. Our agricultural advances also use ammonia, fertilizer, insecticides, and pesticides to advance our agriculture and to quicken it. But those chemicals inside the ammonia or fertilizer is not very good for our environment. As I've said, the gasoline, diesel, or other fossil fuels that are used to power up factories and industries have the exhaustive that emits dangerous chemicals into the environment, which can cause land pollution as well as air pollution. So we need paper. This is paper, that's paper, and paper comes from trees. Trees are in forests, thus we have deforestation, the destruction of forests. According to research published by Duke University, when trees are killed to produce heat and goods, they release the carbon that is normally stored for photosynthesis. This process then releases nearly 1 billion tons of carbon into the air per year. Another one of the main problems is waste, which is also known as landfills. The hazardous contaminated air that is emitted from landfill biodegradation is extremely dangerous. One of the main serious ones is methane. When methane gas is formed, it builds pressure and then seeps into the ground. Recent study of 288 landfills, 83% of the gases emitted from these landfills is harmful to the environment. Landfills are on land, and we have billions of people in the world, and people sometimes unknowingly live on landfills or near landfills, which is then shown that people who live near landfills suffer from heart and lung diseases. Because of methane seeping into the ground, groundwater then becomes contaminated as well. Here are some solutions. We can use public transportation, or you can carpool. You can conserve energy by switching off lights, fans when you're heading out, because large amounts of fossil fuels are used to produce electricity. You can save the environment from biodegradation by reducing the amount of fossil fuels burned. You can switch your cars, hybrids or electric cars. I drive a hybrid car myself. And we all know the main concept, reduce, reuse, recycle. It's been pounded into our heads since elementary school, and you can use that now. You can refrain from taking showers and baths, and because of doing that, you can save water and electricity. You can reuse old bottles or containers, and of course, recycle all the recyclables in your home. You can use energy-efficient devices such as rechargeable batteries. Batteries themselves contain extremely harmful chemicals to the environment, and which is why you have to throw them out when the chemicals are seeping out of the batteries themselves. But imagine as the batteries are actually thrown into the landfills and what kind of dangerous chemicals and gas they can emit. You can also use self-charging flashlights, which I have one at home. You hand charge it. And as you all know, I was in a high school volunteer organization, but our organization was only a little branch off of a main branch known as CG. CG does charity all around the world, and we have a very proud recycling process where you use a recycled bottle, or 70, you crush them and melt them and convert them into cloths, which then are able to make blankets, clothes, or shoes, anything. And after that process, we would distribute them out to countries that have been hit with disasters or homeless or anyone in need. So in a way, we can save the environment as well as people. We all want a peaceful life where we can live happily and freely, but that is not possible if we are slowly destroying and crumbling our earth. All these problems do not just affect our generation, but also the generations that are to come. And as these problems linger, they can become worse than imaginable. So today I spoke of the air pollution, what causes it, and how to correct it to let you understand the importance of our carbon footprints, and that if we do not act soon enough, there will be no earth to save. Even the smallest of gestures, such as switching off the lights before leaving, can have impact. Thank you.
Brittany, here you got some comments to make? Nope. All right. Once again. Well, I have some comments to make. I like the visualization at the beginning of the carbon footprint on the beach. I thought that was kind of interesting and a little dramatic. There was a pretty good transition to what your topic was. That's good. I didn't really hear much of a preview, but I could pick out the structure of the speech as you were presenting it. So I know the problem area, there's a cause section, and then there's a solution section. So it is structured pretty clearly, a very traditional, persuasive structure, which is fine, and it's pretty easy to follow. I do think that you have a tendency to just assume certain relationships. So, for example, when you get to the global warming issue, you take all of that as a given. I know that there are controversies about it, that there are a lot of things that are supposedly affiliated with global warming, but I think I still need to see some proof. For example, you blame the Canadian wildfire on global warming, and I don't know what basis there is for making that inference. The same thing with El Nino. El Nino has been a recurring experience here off the coast of California and a variety of parts of this part of the world for, as far as I know, centuries. So the idea that it's a result of global warming, I'm not exactly sure why it is you think that global warming is causing El Nino. That seems to be like just an assumption. And I do think so that you do a little bit less effective job at building the problem issue than you could have. I think you could use some more information to connect those things to the subject that you're talking about. However, I did think that you did a better job kind of narrowing the subject a little bit from what we talked about the other day, and I thought that you were more effective as a consequence. The cause issue, I think you discussed pretty well. The issue of deforestation seems to be coming out of left field, and I do think that and you do kind of relate it to what we're talking about, but again, there's not much statistical information that connects it, how much of the problems that we have are related to that particular issue, but that there is a connection. I thought you did an okay job explaining that. On the methane issue, another one of those places where there's an assumed harm. You say that people have health issues because they live close to methane leaking landfills, and I'm going, and where's the information on that? So I didn't really hear that. I thought that was a little bit problematic. On the solutions, they are very general in nature. I do like the fact that they're everyday kinds of things that everybody can participate in to some degree, and I think that does tend to motivate people a little bit more effectively when they feel like they are a part of the solution that you're talking about. You're not just saying, let's have an international conference that come up with solutions on these sorts of things, but you're talking about what people can do individually to address that. I thought that was fine. I like the fact that you used a couple of personal experiences there as well, the membership in your organization and what your organization does, you're driving the hybrid vehicle, that kind of thing. I think you could point, and you mentioned, for instance, that most people in your generation have gone through that recycle, reuse, and there's another R in there somewhere. Replace, I think it is. Is that it?
Renew.
Renew.
Right? Renew, yeah, renew.
Whatever it is, okay. I know. You see, it's been drilled into your brain apparently, but not mine. All right. And so I kind of like that, the way you kind of connect it to things that the audience should be able to understand and relate to. That's a good example of familiarity as a way of connecting people to that particular subject. Delivery, you have almost no gestures because you have those cards in your hand the whole time, and so you become a little bit, I don't want to say like a mannequin, but you are limited to some degree, and I think you could be more engaging. Your voice is okay, it projects pretty well. There's a little bit of variety in it. I still think your energy level could be a little bit higher, and even though you do have the notes, I thought your eye contact was reasonable. I mean, I think you could do a better job, but it's not a bad job by any stretch of the imagination. Okay, thank you.